it will go back to the again the step number one, which is typically we say a algorithm which may produce a result, may not produce a result. If we try to restrict that, if it is not producing the result, I'll go back and try it again. Now, in this context, this is the final what we try to prove for the repeat element. Okay, so where this is the critical word, it terminates, because always we talk about a probabilistic, I mean polynomial bind algorithm, but we take a decision based on the random number, how the termination condition is to be assured. Okay, so one thing we have not discussed, it is usually discussed in UG course. Whenever you write down a algorithm, it is a typical question, prove that the algorithm terminates. Let us look into the binary search. How you will prove that the binary search is terminate? Very simple thing. If you have written a recursive algorithm, so your recursion step is coming from a particular starting value of n, and always there is a statement where you are finding that the n is decreasing. When n is decreasing, it can decrease, it can goes up to stopping criteria, then you stops. So I'll show you some stuff how to prove. This is a very common question. Whenever you write down a algorithm, then immediately question comes, algorithm terminates. Prove that your algorithm terminates. Prove that your algorithm is correct. These two things are very critical. And this is mostly for when you are writing a thesis, when you are preparing a report, you describe one algorithm, and after writing the algorithm, even if you write down the complexity of the algorithm, it is not a complete one. You have to write down the algorithm, you have to write or prove that this algorithm can terminate, then also you have to write the algorithm is correct. So correctness and the termination condition is to be explained. So there are two chapters. When people are asking about course of study, I can say there is a complete chapter how to prove the correctness of the algorithm. And the number of times I told in the class, one of the student who completed a PhD thesis, and his broad area was the software engineering. He was working with Professor Mahapatra in the department. Okay, if you look into his thesis, oh, he did. I always mention in the class, he was a student. I mean, he was our master students. Then he joined for the PhD program. So nicely he has presented in the thesis every algorithm he has written. He proved the algorithm is correct. Then he commented about the complexity. So this art what we are practicing in algorithm is to be used in subsequent stages. Okay, so sometimes people feels ki this only you are studying for this exam point of view. Answer is no. So here what we try to do, we start with a randomized algorithm, then we try to, yes, we try to put this into a loop. Okay, now if you look into this loop, this, you see the while loop is subjected to a condition. The while loop is always takes order of one. While loop is always takes the order of one. But one thing is missing here. The last class I told you how to prove that this algorithm takes order of log n times. There is no loop. Yes, there is no loop. There is nothing is mentioned. So what it tried to say, it only provides you a function which does a check for a one time. But if you put, let us say, large number, I want to do it for 20 times. I want to do it for 30 times. I want to do it for 40 times. Okay. If I am to do it in the 40 times, or let me write down, there is a statement, it will go back to the step number 3. Then also we are arguing that this algorithm will terminate. Terminate with what? Terminate with a greater probability. And that probability we are going to prove that there is a possibility that this algorithm will terminate. Now this is the quantity. We have written a algorithm. We have written a algorithm. Question is that it may produce a result, it may not produce a result, but terminates, if the answer is correct, then we are going to prove that this algorithm also higher possibility of termination, probability that the algorithm will terminate is higher Higher means here it found to be 8926. That means majority of the time the algorithm will terminates and will get the answer. And when somebody is going to design a new algorithm, the competition will be on this. You want to design a new algorithm when the probability will be higher. Suppose you propose a randomized algorithm and you try to compare my algorithm is best, then you have to look into this. So this, if you look into the algorithm, it says the while loop takes order of one time, but it is not going to serve my purpose, because if I'll go back to the algorithm, I have two possibilities. That is returns I, but I may not come to this condition if I am not finding I not equal to j, ai, even if I say I not equal to j, ai is not equal to, ai is not equal to aj, then in this condition I am not going to return I. So my purpose is not solved. Objective is to find out the repeated array number is not solved. So what I did, I again go back to run my algorithm. So it says if I am running for a finite number of times, maybe 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, 40 times, higher probability, that is 80% of the time, the algorithm will terminate providing a answer to me. That is the reason there is no outer loop to say that when you are going to do it. But whenever we look into randomized algorithm, roughly we always say the complexity is order of n. Like let us say minimum spanning tree, you are starting roughly most of the greedy algorithm also like that. It will be outer loop will be the order of n. Here, suppose a good assumption is that we have n number of element. Let me repeat this algorithm n number of times. Let me repeat this algorithm n number of times. When I am repeating this n algorithm n number of times, it says log n number of times the algorithm will terminate. And once the terminate, it returns with a good result. So there are two things to be proved. So first is proving time, the running time of the algorithm. So if you are the while loop is successful, if while loop is successful, then you are going to find out the number I, which is one of the n by 2 array indices, because exactly half of the array is repeated element. So I indicates that. So then, and the j is any one of the same n by 2 indices other than j. I told you to just to go through so that it will be easy. Again, I repeat, I you are trying to find out, j you are trying to find out. So you are finding that j is any one of the n by 2 other than I. That means we try to guess two number. I falls on the particular location where the repeat is there, j is the other than that. So when there is an array, there are number of permutation combinations are possible. When you take the first element, then rest is n minus 1. When you take second element, rest element is like this n minus 2. So the probability that the algorithm quits in a given iteration in a while loop, how this probability is calculated? How the probability is calculated? That means how many. So you take a set of n element. You are looking into number of power sets. That means if the array, let me go back to the condition. What is the condition? The condition is that we have an array that has n by 2 distinct element and n by 2 copies of one element. And these n by 2 copies of element is available from which position to which position. If there is an array of 10 element, this n by 2 copies of the element may be arrived from index 1 to 5, maybe 2 to 6, maybe 3 to 7. So what is the number of possibilities? Are you getting me? Here you see there are distinct n by 2 element are there, but n by 2 is the copy of another element. So where you will find this n by 2 copy of this element? This may be appearing from position number 1 to 5, position number 2 to 6, position number 3 to that. So what is the maximum position? That is the n by 2 to n. So looking into the number of possibilities, this is the probability. You may be finding the I at position 1. You may be finding the I at position number 2. You may be finding the position number T. So what are the maximum number of possibility of finding that? What is the maximum number of possibility you can find? So number of occurrences and maximum number of possibilities. So that is gives you this quantity. N by 2 into n by 2 minus 1, because that is the position, and this is divided by n square, and which is come to be, if you will assume that there will be greater than 10 element or greater than equal to 10 element, and which is coming some number which greater than 1.5, because you see when the success is 1.5, the failure will be 1 minus 1 by 5. So success will be greater than equal to 1 by 5. So failure will be less than 4 by 5. Therefore, the probability of the algorithm does not quit. That is, there is a number of possibilities. That is number. This is you are not going to find. So this does not quit. So that will be computed, and this is value you can find out a constant number or a decimal value for which 4 by 10, 4 by 5 divided by 10 is less. Okay, 4 by 5 divided by 10 is less. When you are finding the less value, you can subtract that from the 1 to say that suppose there are 10 iterations. 10 iterations means you are enclosing a outer loop with 10, then probability that the algorithm will terminate is 0.8926, and you will be getting a answer yes. You will be returning a answer yes, because we try to prove that the algorithm which produces incorrect result, but those execution times are far from one run to the another. So randomized choices with, what is the basic property of the Las Vegas algorithm? It never produces incorrect result. But when it terminates, here we try to prove it terminates above than 80% time producing the correct result. Okay, so this quantity hopefully will be clear to you, that we are proving that there is a higher possibility. Now when you comment on the complexity of the algorithm, it says this algorithm terminates, if terminates, but this terminate is again a probabilistic quantity. The terminate is more than 80%, but you cannot report more than 80% as a general complexity when you have n number of element. That is the reason we try to express with the instance characteristic. So then the similar notation is being used. If you try for 10 element, if you try for 20 element, if you try for 30 element, if you try for 100 element, and so on. So in general, this probability that algorithm does not quit, that means it will entering into a infinite loop in the first, that it is going to define C is a constant quantity, and you are going to alpha log n, you are introducing one more constant, because this alpha we are going to express in terms of the power. So in the iteration we are using the same logic, 4 by 5 to the power 100, this we are putting C alpha into n. So then we are using the simply formulation when we change the base value log n with the base value. So this is a common transformation which can be n to the power minus alpha. If we'll pick up the constant, that means if we'll put this C with the 1 by of 5 by 4, so you substitute that particular C value, this is a constant. So we are assuming that if we pick C is greater than equal to, means C is a constant, will be substituted. Then we are arguing the algorithm terminates 1 by log 5 to the power multiplied with log n. So idea is to get a particular term log n to argue in terms of the probability in terms of a characteristic. This is the explanation that why we write this algorithm terminates in log n. Again I repeat, this logic represents for one element testing, and we run this algorithm a finite number of times. Let us assume that we run this algorithm for n times and try to prove that the complexity to be the log n. Okay, complexity to be the log n. Okay, so now the following analysis of the algorithm, this, it is not the following, the previous page analysis of the algorithm shows the algorithm will terminate quickly with high probability. High probability is associated with this 8.89. Okay, I'll do the corrections here actually. It's not the following analysis. This is on the previous page. Okay, now This is simple assignment for write a program that finds the majority element from a given array using randomized algorithm so that probability of missing majority element, I mean it's asked for the reverse thing, but it asks for a higher probability 0.999 something. Okay, now if you look into a simple example, this is very simple to find the repeat element. If you look into this particular loop, you see we are finding I equal to, we are guessing in the random, j also we are guessing in the random. Simple check, very much compatible to the algorithm, I mean the particular algorithm we have discussed. So here actually we do the uh, non-efficient way of doing like this, which is order of n square. If we do it in the randomized algorithm, it will be log n. So this is the comparison or improvement. That means if you need to find out a distinct element, maybe the logic you are writing a C program to do that. The first loop represents if you do it in a brute force method, which is a non-efficient way. If you do with a I mean randomized algorithm, this is the logic, but this number of trial part is there usually not mentioned. So that's why sometimes people wonders how the log n comes to the picture. Okay, now I think many of you have come across 8 queen problem. Yes or no? 8
Yes.
queen
Yes,
problem,
sir.
anybody remembers?
Yes, sir.
But
Yes, sir.
you see the most critical part in 8 queen problem, as you have discussed, that is the problem statement. Okay, 8 queen everybody knows, but without problem statement. Okay, it's a maximization problem or minimization problem. Is it a optimization problem? My question is that game playing is a optimization problem. I'm just giving you assignment. Let us say, let us take this problem. Let us take this problem. How many different ways you can solve this problem? Any of you have read AI, artificial intelligence? People are talking of artificial intelligence. What are the technique you know how 8 queen problem is going to solve? How many ways it can be solved? Any guess? Yes. How many ways this is problem can be solved?
So by backtracking, branch and round and heuristic.
Backtracking, branch and bound, and heuristic. Uh, Really, I'll appreciate if you'll understood how it is solving in backtracking or branch and bound. From which book you have studied? From where you have studied?
So I have studied it from, I guess, Sani or some book. I don't remember it now.
Okay, okay. No, no. That's so I want to share. I want to share your experience. This is very valuable. You see, in Sahani book, if you study backtracking and branch and bound, if you really goes through those pages and try to trace it, and you try to understood it, I think it will be little bit a painful job. You required few good hour of reading, and you just imagine people are talking of AI. I mean, we are old timers. We study the AI. We solve. We also study the same problem how it will be solved with the AI. Let us come to the heuristic. What is a heuristic? If you can suggest a heuristic for this problem, then it is the beginning that you are learning how to solve the problem using AI. Let us talk about whenever we discuss this subject, I always talk about problem solving using a conventional algorithm, problem solving using AI. I can select this particular problem as a candidate for AI. Then I can imagine or I can compare my randomized technique where it stands. Okay. So what is the solution space? What is the possible do you remember something, the constraints in the queen problem? How we represent? How you will model this problem? How we represent this problem? First, to tell me how you are going to represent this problem in computer.
I remember that I have studied this from AI and I have taken a heuristic of Hamming distance between two queens. I
Yes,
guess I
yes,
have taken something like
yes.
that.
Thank you. And if other people are listening, she has used a Hamming distance between the two queen. So this is the key point. When suppose someone else is going to write down a new AI algorithm, then you should guess something. I want to measure the distance from Taj Mahal's tower, and that I will be using as a heuristic. You have to map that. Something which comes to your mind and which other people cannot model mathematically. But when you say a Hamming distance, as you say, whenever you do certain heuristic, it must be converted to a formula. But in Sahani book, if you'll see, the Hamming distance is not being used. If you read number of AI books, if the author really has say some contribution, definitely you will find an introduction to the new heuristic. Let me first explain you the heuristic, though you are not conversant. Heuristic we normally defines as a rule of thumb. But what is that? Now look into the people, a particular hawker or a particular person who is having a stall near the national highway, or a, we can say, a food parlor near the national highway. So when they woke up in the morning, they start preparing the food. And his servant and others, they ask the owner, sir, what should we prepare? What is the quantity of the food we are going to prepare? So owner says a figure. His objective is profit maximization, but the servants and other people are wondering, always that amount becomes sufficient and a good number of customers are coming, no customer is sent back, and no wastage of foods. But if he has to pass this knowledge to someone, he will not able to pass. But he learned it from his experience, that he started a shop, number of times he faced the loss, prepared the food, nothing is sold, and sometimes he prepared something, more number of customers are not getting the food, they are approaching him and return from the shop. And slowly he develops something in his brain, some intelligence things, and he has a formula with him. He looks into the sky, looks into the weather, looks here and there, said, okay, you prepare for 3 kg rice, and that found to be true. Not always. In 365 days, maybe 4 to 5 days, it is not coming to be exact, but all days it will be fine to be okay. And he is happy that I am getting this much of profit. But can you transform this logic from that human brain to a formula? If you will transform, then only you can write a program. As she says, she is measuring a Hamming distance. So she is telling of a formula which can be programmed. You see, designing new algorithm is very easy. Normally, broadly, a searcher structure can be used, VFS, DFS, etc., depending on your solution phase. But this is the contribution. Suggest a new heuristic. Suggest a new heuristic. And if heuristic is the powerful technique and you are finding a better result, what is the need of randomized algorithm? Can anybody listen? If I am finding a heuristic, so why I am going for randomized algorithm? If your heuristic is going to solve the problem. So again, let me go back. When we talk about NP complete problem, we say either we have an exact algorithm, or we have a approximation algorithm, or we'll go for a heuristic algorithm, or we can take this randomized algorithm is also one type of heuristic algorithm. Greedy algorithm is always also a one type of heuristic algorithm. Greedy, the heuristic is minimum or maximum. Randomized is a heuristic, immediately we pick up something that is a heuristic without any computation. Here, in a typical heuristic algorithm, you have to express your heuristic in terms of a mathematical formula or a algorithm. So heuristic techniques are becoming more time consuming if it requires amount of time taken by that heuristic function or algorithm will be more. Clear, without entering into much difficult. When we have a comparison between randomized and heuristic algorithm, if you're finding computing a heuristic function for every decision takes more time, then we can prefer a randomized algorithm. Okay, and maybe greedy, you can say typical greedy, you are using a data structure, you put your element into that, into max heap or min heap. That is the extra amount of time you consume. Okay, so now come to the representation of the problem. How you will represent? Any idea how you will represent the problem? Yes, how you will represent this problem? How you imagine this is a real world problem. If you will represent this problem in computer, then only you can solve it. What model you are going to use? Is it a matrix? How you represent?
So
Yes.
matrix would allow easy indexing.
You see, many solutions are expected. You see, don't afraid if your guess is wrong. First, you try to do something and argue that my data structure is correct. We are not going to copy whatever there in the book and tell you. Let us do some brainstorming that how you will represent this thing. I know many solutions are available in the, you can Google it to find out a program in C, C++, Java, Python solving 8-win problem. Which data structure you will bring? Suppose my assignment will be create a new data structure. As she says, he is going to use a heuristic called Hamming distance. So computing Hamming distance will be a function. On that class, I am going to create a class which will create a chessboard for me. Can I create a class or can I create a class for a particular different queens? Because queen has certain function. How queen can travel? It can travel horizontally, it can travel vertically, right? Huh? It can travel diagonally. How many degrees of freedom are there? 4. So think of how to represent this one. Because writing a generalized, this is an open problem. This is an NP complete problem. This is an open problem. Okay. So these are the questions is left to you and need to find out the problem statement, a representation in the memory. Then only we can discuss the algorithm. If somebody is trying to extract something from you, he will be forcibly introducing 8-queen puzzle problem is represented like this. Find out the optimal solution or find out that what is the solution here? Solution is to place all the 8 queens on the chessboard, right? And you want to minimize what? Your move or the time. Okay, so the 8-queen puzzle problem is like this, placing 8 queens on 8x8 chessboard so that no 2 queens can threaten to each other, and there are certain function through which the queens can move and that defines the they can cross each other or not. So thus a solution requires no 2 queens should share the same row, same column and diagonal. Okay, this is because of a typical property of the queen that on the chessboard, right? And we are going to discuss that. So how to model this problem? How to model this problem? Can you suggest a greedy algorithm? What you will do in the greedy algorithm? Tell me. What you will do in the greedy algorithm? Yes.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, choose the first suitable position where
But
the
in greedy
king can.
algorithm, you have to tell, right, we'll choose, but how you will write a greedy algorithm? Greedy has to use a simple heuristic. Greedy has
Sir,
to
we are
use.
going to place. Yes, sir. First, we are going to place in the first position where no two queens are fighting.
No, no, no. Greedy, you try to understood. In greedy, you must have a major. Suppose, okay, now you come to the problem. How many choices you are having? Suppose first you are going to place. How many choices you are having? You can place at the first position, second position, third position, fourth position, fifth position, sixth position, seventh position, and eighth position. Right? Does this position returns a computed value so that I can go for the best or the worst? Like a spanning tree, you imagine. Got it? Suppose if you are placing the queen at the first place and your reward point is 1. If you place the queen at the third place, your reward point is 5. In that way, is there anything? Then you can start with uh, a some evaluation. If not there, you say, okay, a typical greedy algorithm is not going to help me. If I'll ask why you cannot have a greedy algorithm for this problem, you need to answer that. That means this problem is not a candidate for the greedy algorithm. What are the two property required for the greedy algorithm? What property the problem should exhibit? One is called greedy choice property, right? You must have a choice there among the available local solutions. Here you can say your local solution might be placing the queen into any 8th position. So you need to evaluate that one. Otherwise okay, how much time it will take for the brute force method? Right. What are the possible solutions for the brute force method? Okay, am I going to represent the solution in terms of a tuple? Yes or no? Can I represent the solution in terms of a tuple? Can I write a tuple like this? If I am placing my first queen at the 7th position, that value will be 7. Okay, look into the screen. I want to represent this as a tuple. So what shall I write? I'll write 2, I'll write 4, I'll write 6, I'll write 8, I'll write 3, I'll write 1, I'll write 7, I'll write 5. Okay, this is a tuple. How many such tuples are possible for this case? I am asking how in brute force method we need to examine all possibilities. So very simple, if I'll write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 8, that is one possibility. So how many such possibilities there?
8 factorial.
8 factorial. Good. 8 factorial, out of which, because of the queen constant, out of which few are the solutions. Okay, here in this game playing, you have a starting state, you have a goal state. Goal state, maybe I have multiple goal state. I may have the multiple goal state. Okay, so I am starting from a particular starting state, then I am going to the goal state. I may have the more than one goal state. Okay, so that's why in a brute force method, you see, we need to express if it is a n cross n queen problem, what will be the solution? What is the complexity of the, you see, look into the first line, it say try all positions. All position means exactly you are trying for the all those tuples possible. Okay, so here suddenly in the brute force also they say backtrack if it dead end. So for this example, maybe particularly you are finding 114 setup in total, but you need to know. Now, instead of that, you are typically writing a randomized algorithm. Where to place? That means in the tuple, you try to fill up the first place. You are generating a random number starting from 1 to 8 and writing them at the first place. Let us say that will be the 7. Then again, you try to generate a second random number. It found to be 6. So the 7 and 6 definitely, whenever you generate the 6, it going to discard because the previous one is the 7. Previous one is the 7. So because the 6 you cannot take, it is falling diagonally to the 7. If I have select a 7 place, very simple. If I select a position number 7 here and next element I am selecting at the 6 for the second queen, so it is diagonal to each other, so that cannot be a candidate. Okay, so we can go back and again we can try. So whether we'll discard all the moves or we'll start pressing the first queen at another position. Again we generate a random number. Let us say that is 3. So I start with the solution at 3. So how many of you have actually read AI paper? I say the solutions will be represented by a tuple. Have you come across the production rules? Any of you have come across the production rule? Yes. Production rule. No idea. Okay. So when I say in the tuple, are you getting me? I am going to discuss 8 tuples where 8 tuple looking into this particular solution. Looking into this solution, we are placing this is 2, this is 4, this is 6, and this is 8, this is 3, 1, 7 and 5. So this is a solution, and whenever I start with, let us say, any initial state, or I'll say blank state. So when I'm starting from a state, then when I'm moving to the other state, so I perform some transition. That means when a queen is placed, it has to be displaced. It can be displaced to right, left like this, or the placing. So such function needs to be defined. Such function needs to be defined. Okay, this function need to be defined. But designing a randomized algorithm is very easy. You see, look into the second line. We are generating, so how many queens are there? K queens are there. So what will be my outer loop? Outer loop is 1 to K, because we have to select K queen randomly. Now I am going to place my first queen. So I value equal to 1, I will start. Then I try to find out the location by using with help of a random number. Let that R value is 7. Let that R value is 7. Then what I try to do, whether that location is previously occupied or not. So if the board is by taken, then return the algorithm fails. Else you need to occupy that algorithm. When you are going to occupy that particular location, not sorry algorithm, particular location, let us say IR, this is the matrix position in of the board location IR. So we call the another algorithm. So what the algorithm says, I start with a I value, I have to take in a j value, then I have to place that queen there. Conquer square is like this. First I am placing the queen into board. Board is my matrix. That's why I ask which data structure you are going to use. After placing that queen, then we update z equal to I plus 1 to 2 remaining places. That means once I'll put a queen at particular position, I am marking both the diagonals starting from that queen, that both the diagonal and state. You see, there are 3 degrees of freedom is considered. So these are marked as a taken. Very much similar to this. If you place these things, you need to mark this one, you need to mark this one, you need to mark this one. Okay, you may ask why not in this, because we are placing one by one. So we are marking these things. Similarly, when you are placing, you try to mark this thing, it's not available, try to mark this one, try to mark this one. So these places cannot be used for subsequent operation. Okay, this is just to illustrate that when we are looking for this line, and the board is represented, the chessboard is represented by a matrix I comma j. Right. So this is one of the algorithm, and every time here the placement is that we are checking all the possibilities. So this particular second loop for I equal to k plus 1 to 82, that R is 1, and if it found answer is no, while R is less than 8 and not found, then board not taken, then we'll call it. So this is being used to place the queen at a particular location where the space is available, and moreover it is not going to violate the decision which is taken. I mean, it is going to take care the decision which is taken on the previous move. Okay, so and similarly we need to analyze that probability that this algorithm has got a higher probability of termination. Okay, so if you look into the probability of termination, so it try to express in terms of the activity or the time taken. So S is the processing time in case of success, and your E is the processing time in case of the failure. In case of the failure, and P is the probability of success that you can find. Q is obviously 1 minus P. Then for a particular placement, we need to calculate that the probability of success P into S. Very simple. Probability of success will be like, then processing time is particularly time taken and the probability of failure. So we need to now find out a quantity. What is the probability that the algorithm will terminate? Okay, probability that algorithm will terminate. So if we able to prove that probability of terminating a algorithm will be more, then only we can take this algorithm. Okay, then only we can take this algorithm. But this is not the one framework of the randomized algorithm for this. Maybe Ajay say will be again discussing this, that how the probability of this algorithm. So two things you remember. One is the problem statement. I'm not writing. I'll simply post the papers that is required. What is the problem statement for this algorithm? Okay, problem statement for this randomized algorithm. Then I'm going to write down exact algorithm what you can implement. The way we have written the algorithm, I'll write it using the particular Sahani notation like this. I'm going to write down the algorithm like this. Exactly, I'll be writing this algorithm for Las Vegas algorithm for this problem. Okay, exactly, I'll be using a uniform function and I'll write down the algorithm that you can use. But before that, many things to be supplemented, talking about the solution space, talking about the probability of converging with that. Okay, so I'll always try to take in two stages, and the closest point problem is not part of the course, but we will be coming to there are two things, that is randomized selection and randomized selection function and randomized quicksort. Now we'll come to closest point. I am not discussing. It's a typically divided concur algorithm. We'll not discuss this thing. Closest point is not part of your course. Okay, now we'll come to the third category of algorithm, that is a Serud algorithm. So Serud algorithm is a randomized algorithm. This always returns a result and result is correct. So in general, you can say we are looking for designing a Serud algorithm, then the acceptability of the randomized algorithm will be more. This is useful algorithm which have a poor worst case behavior but a good average case behavior. Okay, if you try to evaluate, maybe you try to find out a shortest path, you are not finding the best type of solution, you are finding a mediocre type of solution. Here the average case says if you'll apply that, you'll be finding a solution. I mean, it is always around the mid value. I mean, the cost of the path you are finding. Okay, so and in particular this can be used where embedding algorithm in an application may lead to increase in worst case behavior. So if you are finding your instance will be such, when you are implementing a best algorithm may sometimes lead to the worst. So, so because we do not know what input you'll get. If many times you'll get such input that it leads to the worst case, better you use a algorithm which gives you average performance but never assures a worst case performance. So this is the most important remark. When you are expecting some of the input may lead to the worst case behavior, that can be prevented with the help of a randomized algorithm, but which is again inferior in quality. That means the quality is average, or in between. If you are finding the shortest path, you are in a mid value. That means it's not the shortest path, neither it is close to the shortest path. Okay, so in Serud algorithm, the case study is actually randomized quicksort, and I think I have not derived. That is the reason I was trying to my blackboard and whiteboard to explain. So in randomized quicksort, we need to prove that this algorithm is terminates. So that can be proved by finding the complexity. So this is the basic structure of the quicksort algorithm, and here this is very simple. If you're looking into the quicksort algorithm, here is the random function. Okay, we call the random function to select the pivot, this much. So now you tell me, what is the recurrence relation to this problem? Yes. What will be the recurrence relation to this problem? If Tn is the time complexity, yes, please. Anybody
so time
can.
complexity should remain the same as average case because
Yes, yes, it's good. It's good guess, average case, correct. But what is the recurrence relation? Because this is a divide and conquer algorithm. If I'll write down my recurrence relation, I can solve and argue that this algorithm is going to be terminated, or it is a polynomial time algorithm. It has a polynomial bound. But in this category, my algorithm and solution both are assured if you look into the definition. But algorithm may be randomized in nature, but algorithm termination time and the solution both are assured. Right? If I'll apply quicksort, definitely the array will be sorted. So one part is clear, and definitely it has to be completed in polynomial time. So it always terminates and produces the result in polynomial time. Now to the recurrence relation. Very simple. Whenever I am selecting a pivot, you can note it down because I was trying for the whiteboard, I could not got it. When you are going to select a pivot, this whole array, the whole array is divided into two sets, right? The whole array is divided into two sets. When I am, what picture I am getting after the first pass? If I'll start with array S, start with array A, the array A is divided into two parts. Let us call it as S1 and S2. And you can say first condition is S1 intersection S2 is 5. Agreed? Let us assume that we have a distinct element. S1 intersection S2 is 5. We can assume, or else you can assume that S1 union S2 union the pivot element P will be equal to S. Agreed? Number the elements in S1 plus elements in S2 and plus pivot is represent your original array. Here I am, it is A, I am just explaining, I am calling it as a S. Okay. Now, if you look into the recurrence relation, how to write recurrence relation? Let us say the first case. If you have the paper and others, if you will do a little bit of writing, it will be better.
It is something like Tn minus 1 plus Tn T plus 1 by 2.
There will be a summation, there is a probability that I want to say. Had it been in a board, it will be easy. Now please look. We start with a set S, right? We start with a set S. Now whenever I am selecting the pivot, so it divided into two sets, S1 and S2. That part is agree. But now let us talk about what is the cardinality of S1. What will be the number of element in the S1 and what will be the number of element in S2? First you tell me what will be the number of element in S1. If you could have selected the smallest element or the largest element, then either S1 is 0 or S2 is 0. Okay, let us assume that after selecting the pivot, the S1 cardinality of S1 becomes 0. Agreed? Then what will be S2? One element you place as a pivot. Huh?
N minus 1.
N minus 1. Very good. Now, what are the other cases? S2 might contain single element, right? If S2 you select a pivot in such a way that S1 contains only one element, then how many elements there in S2?
Plus minus 2.
N
N
minus
minus 2.
N minus 2. Suppose similarly, let us say there are two elements in the S1. Then you have N minus 3 element because one is the pivot. So if you'll continue in this way, this side, left side is increasing from 0, 1, 2 to up to N minus 1.
1.
The right hand side, it is decreasing from N minus 2, N minus 2, it is going up to 0. Right. It is going up to 0 or not. That means accidentally you select the largest item, say, so all elements are in one side of the pivot and it is 0. Agreed? This part is understood or not? Yes.
Yes.
This part is understood. Okay. That means what and how what is the how many cases are there? First case, second case, third case, fourth case. How many cases?
N minus 1.
N minus 1 or n cases?
N cases.
Yes. N case or n
N
minus?
cases.
N cases. Yes, good. There will be n cases. Okay. Now this happens. Why? Either first case can happen or second case can happen or third case can happen or fourth case can happen or the last case can happen. Agreed? How many cases can happen? Yes. How many such cases can happen?
N cases.
So n cases can happen, but these n cases can happen. Why? Why you are going to get n case? Why you are
Because of random selection of
yes,
pivot element.
when that means that is because of the selection of pivot element, right? This is because selection of the pivot element. So how many, what is the probability of selecting any item in the array to be pivot?
1 by n.
1 by n. Selecting the first element, if it is smallest probability of 1 by n, then you have the first case. If you select the second element as the pivot, there might be, I mean, the second largest might be the second case will occur. It's like this. So if you look into both the sides, they are equally likely. They are equally likely, right? So this is happens because you are selecting with a probability 1 by n. Let us call the time complexity. If we are writing a recurrence relation, look into this first equation. We are writing Tn Ti equal to plus Tn minus I plus 1. This part you convince for conventional quickset. One partition contains Ti, other partition contains n minus I minus 1. That is convinced. Look into the slide I have said. Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
But here the difference is T0 is there, T1 is there, T2 is there, T3 is there. If you look into simple Ti, what you can write? Summation over Ti. I varies from 0 to
0 to
n minus
N
1.
minus.
Okay. And these both sides are equally likely. You do the same things to Tn minus I minus 1, or you can repeat this term also. Got my problem? You see, both the things are equally likely. Na? The second term Tn minus I minus 1, that is also summation over I equal to 0 to n minus 1. Yes or no? Summation over 0 to n minus 1. Okay. That will be also Ti will be 0 to n minus 1, or sometimes we call it as you can resubstitute to find that both the term will be equally likely. Okay. Now, why this term happens? Because you select event 1 happens because you select a element with a probability 1 by n. So you multiply 1 by n to the first term. 1 by n summation over I equal to 0 to n minus 1 ti. And the same term will be the second term. Or it will be different. Yes. Look at that. What will be the first term? I'll be sharing the PDF with you. So what will be the recurrence relation? Yes, anybody has written? Recurrence relation for quicksort. This will be same as the randomized quicksort. That is average case analysis formula will be represent. So can anybody share? Can anybody say the recurrence formula? Yes.
So the recurrence for the randomized quicksort, na?
Yes.
Sir,
That is same as the average. Yes.
So I guess it will be equal to, Tn will be equal to T of summation of T n minus I minus 1 plus Ti, where I varies from 0 to n minus 1.
Fine.
Into 1 by n, because they are equally
1 by
like
1. Yeah, good. 1 by n will be multiplied to both the terms.
Yes, sir. Plus the time taken for the partition, which is basically
okay,
order of n.
That is Cn is there, agreed. But what is the final equation?
So this is what I told.
That will be 2. Are both the cases equally likely?
Yes, sir.
Are you getting me? Can I write twice 1 by n summation over I equal to n minus 1 ti?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Other anyone can agree? Yes. Okay, I'll do one thing.
1 by n has to multiply to Tn minus I plus.
Yes. Why 1 by n will be multiplied? Because the probability of selecting any item out of available n item will be 1 by n. Okay. Because the first case where S1 is 0 and S2 is n minus 1 is governed by the probability 1 by n. You see, the final formula is we can write twice or 2 by n summation over Ti or Tj you can write, and I varies from 0 to n minus 1 plus Cn. I mean, these two terms are equal likely in case of the average case analysis. Okay, so you have a recurrence relation. You have a recurrence relation Tn equal to twice by n summation over I equal to 0 to n minus 1 of Ti plus Cn. Cn will be as it is because these things are equal probable. And when you look into the average case, they are equal probable. For worst case, this is only one choice. Okay, here it is not written exactly. This is the term you are finding. This is the particular line will be the answer. Okay, because twice n by n summation over Tj, j varies from 1 to n minus 1. Okay, so these recurrence relation has to be solved. So I'll be completely deriving, or I am going to do one thing. I'll share the complete derivation from my note. I'll upload the PDF to you. I think it is very simple. You'll find that how we are finding. So the objective is to prove that the quicksort algorithm terminates. The quicksort algorithm terminates with a complexity. What will be the complexity? Any good guess? It will be n log n. Okay, the same as the average case of this is a very much similar to the average case analysis, nothing different. Okay, so still I am trying a whiteboard option. If it's not possible, that's why I was testing today. If not possible, I'll be definitely tonight or tomorrow I'll share the photo, I mean the scan copy of my note where it is a completely derived. You go through that. So that is to uh, conclude the claim that the algorithm terminates. Okay, the algorithm terminates. So once the algorithm terminates, we can look into this first property of the algorithm, that the algorithm, here you see, the algorithm returns a result and correct result. And when it is seen, the algorithm always terminates and bounded by the polynomial time. Okay, so we are not looking into uh, then it says, does it have a worst case time? Yes, it might have a worst case time, because if you try to pass on all elements are identical or something, it may be land into that. Okay, so that's why the randomized quicksort also we cannot ignore that we are not going to get the it land into this situation. Okay, I don't want to compute the expected time using this formula. I could have explained. What I feel the better one is the start with a recurrence relation. So here you see a number of times when we try to study the internal algorithms, we say number of comparisons we want to do. So instead of the taking into that consideration, we compute the average number of comparisons is being done with case of a finite number of trials. So we define x, and if you remember simple statistics, after defining the x, we are defining expectation of x, which is average. And then we try to explore this formula, expectation of x, and there also we are introducing the probability of that particular element has to be a probability that a element in the array has to be compared with another element of the G. So this is one of the author's approach, so that this is a little bit of I mean, not in that way complicated. We can also go for these things. So this is the ultimate objective, to prove the complexity will be order of n log n. So I prefer the recurrence relation to be used, and so that it will be very much straightforward. If you want, you can also use this explanation available in the slide. Okay, so we are actually, is one thing is not figure out in this slide, and that is a randomized algorithm for Mincot is there, but complete algorithm I have not written. Then comes the randomized selection. Okay, so what is actually selection problem that I have explained? So we need to discuss what is the finding the kth smallest element or kth largest element. So we have discussed one algorithm where we can sort the array and go for the kth largest and the smallest. That will be the worst case algorithm. Then we discuss sometime we can use a heap structure. We can use a quicksort as a adaptation to find out the kth largest. We can use different type of heap. One is simply construction of the heap, and second one is by constructing a heap of size k. So similarly, one more randomized algorithm is comes to the selection problem, or finding the kth largest or kth smallest. And I told from the beginning of the class, if you refer to the book by Markle and Weiss, this is the problem which is introduced in the book, and the book tried to discuss the same problem throughout the text. So next class we'll be looking into randomized selection, and of course I'll supplement with your randomized quicksort. So these are the portions random of this randomized algorithm. As you know, this is the, sorry, I am scrolling it. This is the particular book by Rajiv Matwani and Prabhakar Raghavan. I told about Professor Matwani. He is the mentor of the Larry Page, and he is behind the this Google. And so you can download this book, is available maybe for the future reference. So these following materials are only summarized materials, not required for your reference, I mean text reference, but we'll be looking into the two sections, little bit of discussion on, full discussion on randomized selection, algorithm part of the n-queen problem, and your randomized quicksort. So again, to sum up, that means we are winding up actually one section, that is randomized algorithm. But I will be again looking into a few more non-deterministic algorithm. Okay, few more non-deterministic algorithms. So there will be a separate set of presentation which only discusses the non-deterministic algorithm. Okay, I think I have shown those things. One like a typical sorting algorithms what we have discussed. Similarly, we're looking into other non-deterministic algorithm. 3 to 4 non-deterministic algorithm. Sometimes you are going to get a question that describe a non-deterministic algorithm, maybe for a prime multi-testing or maybe for any algorithm. I think I have discussed only one or two algorithm. Maybe we can start repeating the non-deterministic algorithm, like something we discussed, if you remember. In the sequence, I'll first try to complete the non-deterministic algorithm in the next. In my NP complete material, actually, I have included that non-deterministic algorithm. Okay. There we have discussed particularly the non-deterministic algorithm for 0-1 knapsack problem, non-deterministic algorithm for a typical sorting. So few more non-deterministic algorithm like finding the minimum spanning tree and others to be discussed. Okay, so again I conclude, randomized algorithm one section is complete. We'll maybe in one class or a half a class we will be completing non-deterministic algorithm. So these are the two portions, so we can conclude, and followed by that I'll be sharing few sample questions to you. Okay. And today I'll be sharing the photocopy or the PDF of this random the quicksort derivation. Okay, I'll be sharing both the things, quicksort and also quick select, quicksort as well as the quick select. Okay, so we close the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.